For over a decade, the Chevrolet Corvette had no rival, and Chevrolet built an entire identity around that claim. Then in 1989, Dodge wheeled a concept onto the Detroit Auto Show floor with an 8-liter V10, no traction control, and no apologies. It wasn't trying to be a better Corvette, it was the anti-Corvette, and the grudge match it started would shake Chevrolet's pride to its core. For years, Chevrolet chief engineer Dave McClellan steered the fourth-generation C4 Corvette as America's unchallenged performance king. The mass-produced high-tech V8 coupe was highly refined, culminating in the 1990 ZR1. Boasting a 375 horsepower LT5 V8, the ZR1 hit 60 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds, proving McClellan's point that world-class speed didn't require an outrageously expensive, temperamental exotic. Even tuner Reeves Callaway's modified 254 miles per hour sledgehammer reinforced the platform's absolute dominance. But Chrysler executive Bob Lutz wanted to shatter General Motors' comfortable monopoly. Lutz championed a risky Halo project, partnering with designer Tom Gale to build something deliberately uncivilized. On January 11, 1989, Gale's raw, muscular concept debuted in Detroit as a modern Shelby Cobra. The public reaction was overwhelming, forcing Chrysler to greenlight production. Chevrolet's unchallenged era was over. Dodge was building an intentional, uncompromising anti-Corvette. Dodge's response to Chevrolet's high-tech dominance did not rely on electronic wizardry or active suspensions. Instead, the engineering team built a machine centered on a massive, front-mounted 8.0-liter V10 engine, sending its power through a 6-speed manual transmission directly to the rear wheels. This power plant began life within Dodge's heavy-duty truck division, but Chrysler tasked its Lamborghini subsidiary with casting the block and cylinder heads in lightweight aluminum. The result was a naturally aspirated powerhouse producing an estimated 400 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. The chassis used a rigid tubular space frame design developed rapidly between 1989 and 1990. Engineers deliberately rejected modern safety and comfort systems. Early models completely omitted anti-lock brakes, traction control, and airbags, establishing an unfiltered, direct mechanical relationship between the throttle and the rear tires. The car's physical presence was defined by a sweeping hood, an open cockpit, and blistering side exit exhausts that ran hot beneath the doors. There were no roll-up windows, no exterior door handles, and very little cabin insulation. By May 1991, pre-production models paced the Indianapolis 500, and in January 1992, the first RT10 Roadsters hit the streets. It stood as a loud, intimidating counterstatement to the polished Corvette. But could this analog brute actually match the stopwatch performance of Chevrolet's high-tech icon? In the spring of 1992, automotive journalists finally pitted the production Dodge Viper RT10 against Chevrolet's reigning king, the Corvette ZR1. This was the moment of truth. The raw numbers from car and driver's head-to-head test revealed how closely matched these two American giants actually were. The 400-horsepower Viper, propelled by its massive 8.0-liter V10, hit 60 miles per hour in just 4.3 seconds. The high-tech, 375-horsepower Corvette ZR1 was hot on its heels, registering a 4.4-second sprint. In the quarter mile, the battle grew even tighter. The Viper crossed the line in 13.2 seconds at 111 miles per hour, while the ZR1 clocked a nearly identical 13.1 seconds at the same trap speed. But straight-line speed only told half the story. When road and track pushed both cars through the corners, the Viper's wider rubber and rigid space frame pulled a staggering 0.99 G of lateral grip, edging out the Corvette's 0.93 G. In stopping distance from 60 miles per hour, the Viper halted in 99 feet, 9 feet shorter than the ZR1. Yet, despite these track victories, daily usability painted a completely different picture. While the Corvette ZR1 offered computer-controlled suspension, electronic traction control, and a quiet, civilized cabin, the Viper RT10 had no real roof, no exterior door handles, and side pipes that literally burned drivers' legs. It was a brutal, physical machine that demanded absolute concentration. This clash of philosophies only intensified as the decade progressed. In 1996, Dodge introduced the Viper GTS Coupe, raising output to 450 horsepower. Chevrolet answered in 1997 with the clean-sheet fifth-generation C5 Corvette. Though the standard C5's LS1 V8 produced a modest 345 horsepower, its hydroformed steel frame and rear-mounted transaxle gave it a balanced, lightweight agility that countered the Viper's brute force. The grudge match escalated again in the early 2000s when Chevrolet introduced the lightweight C5Z06 with 405 horsepower, aiming directly at the early third-generation SRT-10 Viper and its new 500 horsepower V10 power plant. The battle line stretched far beyond public roads. From 1996 through 2004, the rivalry spilled onto the world's most famous racetracks. Dodge's factory-backed Viper GTSR program took on the legendary 24 Hours of Le Mans and the American Le Mans Series, securing dominant class victories and overall endurance titles. Chevrolet refused to cede the racetrack to Chrysler, launching the Corvette C5R program in 1999. For half a decade, these two factory teams engaged in a relentless, high-speed war of attrition across North America and Europe. Every victory on Sunday drove engineering changes on Monday, forcing both manufacturers to push American performance limits further than ever before. The Corvette's long-standing status as America's benchmark sports car meant the Viper's arrival was a direct strike at Chevrolet's pride. For decades, General Motors used the Corvette as symbolic proof that it could build a world-class performance machine. Dodge's raw V10 Challenger shattered that comfortable monopoly, proving a competitor could build a serious halo car without copying the Corvette's blueprint of refinement and daily comfort. The competitive environment had changed, forcing Chevrolet to shift its focus from quiet dominance to defensive engineering. In 1997, General Motors introduced the fifth-generation C5 Corvette, a clean-sheet redesign featuring a stiff, hydroformed steel frame and the new aluminum LS1 V8. This lightweight platform provided the foundation for a rapid succession of high-performance models designed to protect the Corvette's territory. In 2001, Chevrolet revived the Z06 nameplate, delivering a lighter, track-focused model with 385 horsepower, which soon rose to 405 horsepower. By 2006, the engineering team pushed the sixth-generation C6Z06 even further, stuffing a 7.0-liter LS7 V8 under the hood to produce 505 horsepower. This continuous cycle of weight reduction, chassis development, and displacement growth became Chevrolet's standard countermeasure. Official Chevrolet literature from the era continued to stress usability, engineering precision, and daily refinement. Yet, the public conversation had permanently changed. The Corvette was no longer unopposed. It now faced a permanent rival. This decades-long Detroit feud transcended track times and spec sheets to reshape American performance culture. By refusing to follow the global shift toward electronic driver aids and sanitized refinement, the Viper validated raw displacement, heavy mechanical inputs, and unyielding attitude. It proved that a dedicated market still existed for cars that demanded absolute focus from the driver. In doing so, Dodge challenged Chevrolet while triggering a wider, high-horsepower war that defined a generation of domestic engineering. The Corvette could no longer rest on its laurels as the default choice for domestic speed. Instead, both brands remained locked in a constant cycle of escalation. Pushing each other to extremes, neither would have reached in isolation. This badge versus badge battle became a cultural touchstone for enthusiasts, a defining conflict where two opposite philosophies fought for the soul of the American supercar. On one side stood high-tech daily use capability, on the other, uncompromising mechanical purity. Today, that brutal grudge match still defines American performance. While the Viper's raw V10 era has ended, its defiance forever shattered the Corvette's quiet monopoly. It proved that engineering polish will always fear unyielding attitude. Which side of this war do you back? Tell us below.